Okay, so before we begin, let's make sure that we have the essentials. We have some water to keep us hydrated as we do these statistics, and a snack. I have zucchini here because I hate my life and I need to stop eating so much sugar. Anyways, okay. Also, too, it'd be nice to have some tunes, so we'll turn those on. So, first things first, what we want to do is we want to go to Qualtrics. And essentially what we're going to do is we're going to download our data set into an SPSS format. So we'll go to Qualtrics. We'll sign in. And so you see here, you have your list of your surveys and whatnot. So click on a survey. So we'll go to this one. This is my thesis, my master's thesis. And so what we want to do is we see this thing that says view results. So we click on view results. Then next we see this button here that says download data. So we click download data. And then we scroll down a bit. And so we see a bunch of different options. And the one that we want here is statistical package for social sciences, yada, 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 yada. So we see right here, download SPSS.save file. So we click it, and hopefully it starts downloading. Start clicking it again. Yeah, okay, so hooray. So we click it, and in the zip file, we'll see this salve. So we'll double click it and open up our data set. So, okay, so we'll open up our data set and we'll see something that looks pretty much like this. So here we have in SPSS, we have two different types of views. We have our data view, in which we see all the raw data, and then we have our variable view, in which we see the different questions and variables that we asked in Qualtrics. So the first thing that we can start doing right now is essentially kind of cleaning up our data set. So I first begin by kind of making names out of these variables, because later on it gets easier to, when we're doing our statistical tests, to see actual names rather than like question 13, because that doesn't really mean that much. So I'm going to go ahead and change these. So for this, I asked what my native language was, so I'll just put something like language. Okay, and also note that I'm not that good at spelling, so if there's typos, just ignore them. So this is how old you are, so age, gender, and then I have 3 different items to measure brand attitude. So for here, I'll just put attitude 1, attitude 2, I don't think we can have spaces in the names, attitude 3. And basically, would you buy the product? Would you buy? And I put underscores in because I don't believe we can have spaces. So next, yeah, basically we have this, and it all seems fine. However, when we take a look, age looks like it needs to be recoded. So if we look at this, remember how we made age a drop-down list? Well, in Qualtrics, sometimes it will make that 1, 2, 3, 4 when we had the options 18, 19, 20, etc. So basically, we need to recode these numbers into an actual age category. So to do this, we go to transform, and then we want to recode into the same variable. To recode into a different variable would just create a new, we could have the option of creating a new variable for age, but we just want to keep the same age variable. So how old are you is our variable. So we click this arrow to move it over, and then we go to old and new values. So in the list, the value of 1, the old value, the new value is 18. For the second option, I put 19, and then we're just going to go all the way up to 25 because that's who I care about, is the the 18 to 25-year-old. And I think that's all that okay. Sorry, this is kind of tedious. And you'll learn that some of the joys in SPSS is doing some tedious work. It's wonderful. I recommend it. It keeps me up at night. Yeah, okay, so I think I've recoded these. Continue, and then we'll say okay. We can keep this. So if we look back at our age, hooray, we see actual ages. So people aren't 1 to 7 anymore, they're actually 18 to 25. So we take a look, so that's nice. And another thing that we always want to do is just kind of sift around your data set, because sometimes people accidentally enter in weird things, you know, or they don't take the survey seriously and they write in joke stuff. Like, so for my thesis, I asked them, how many hours do you usually watch YouTube, like, per week? It was a question, something along those lines. And a few of the people were like, I watch it for like 3 trillion hours a week. It's like, okay, well, like, you're lying. Little. Anyways, okay, so moving along. So I'm interested in age, because I think there might be some people that might not taken it seriously. So we'll look at ascending. Yeah, everything looks fine. Okay, so we have 2 people that said that, wow, that would have been like the equivalent of like 97 years old and like 102. And these are outliers, and I'm not really going to care for them, so I'm going to remove them. So I click here, and I press clear, right click here, clear. Okay, so this is looking dandy. This is looking dandy. So we will start looking at some of the descriptives. And this is basically the stuff that we have left blank in our method section. Okay, so why don't we first see how many respondents there were. We can just take a look and see, scroll down and see, okay, there's 244. Blank percent were female. So why don't we look at the gender? So we'll go to Analyze, Descriptive Statistics, Descriptives, and we will do the mean. We will look at gender. This doesn't really tell me much. Okay. Sorry, I'm just remembering that so usually for gender, it's coded as male and female, but now kind of in social science, you're beginning to see male, female, and transgender. So actually, let's get a count of this. So erase that. Let's go to Analyze, Descriptive Statistics, and then to Frequency. So this will actually count the number of times people have the different kind of categories. Okay, so yeah, so we'll look at gender, move it over, and press OK. So we have 0, which must mean female, and then we have male 112. So so no transgender individuals. So 54.10% are female. So we go back to our methods. We'll say, what was it? 54 point. And remember, so for your results and method section, everything has to be 2 digits. So that's just rule of thumb, 2 digits. Okay, so yeah, 54% are female. That is cool. Now we're looking at age. So this is when we want to use descriptive statistics, because this is more kind of number oriented. Let's go to age, yeah, and make sure mean is checked. Yeah, standard deviation is checked. Yep. Okay, continue. So we'll get some output here. And so we see that the mean age is 21.43. So we'll go back to our methods section. Mean age 21.43. And our standard deviation was in the output as well. So we'll see mean standard deviation is 2.26. 26. Okay, now we're asked about, we have to fill in from countries, so we need to see how many people were from the Netherlands and how many were from Canada. So again, we can use the frequencies. So we go to Analyze, Descriptive Statistics, Frequencies. We'll move this back because we don't care about it anymore, and then we go to Country. Click OK. Okay, so 120 were from Canada and 124 were from the Netherlands. Okay, now we go on to language, because I looked at how many, what different languages people spoke, or their native language. So we'll, again do this, click native language, click OK. Okay, so English 75, French 55. Back to our output, 56 and 58. Okay. Okay, great. So we have our basic demographic variables done. Now we need to figure out the means, the standard deviations, and the alpha in our measurement section. Yeah. So the first up is brand attitude. So if we look, I measured brand attitude with 3 different items, and I want to turn this into a scale. So before I can turn this actually into a scale, I need to see whether or not the items actually converge and reliably measure the underlying concept of brand attitude. So how I'll check the reliability, I will go to Analyze, and then I will go down to Scale and to Reliability Analysis. So I'll click on this, and then I'll click on my measures attitude 1, attitude 2, and attitude 3. And just as a quick side tip, if you have a lot of text here and it's hard to see what the actual name of the variable was, right-click on this list and say Display Variable Names. So there we go. It's just a lot cleaner. So attitude 1, attitude 2, and attitude 3. So we'll click over and we'll press OK. So in our reliability output, we'll scroll down and see Chromebacks alpha is 0.986. So this means that it's very reliable. The 3 measures really indeed measure the same underlying concept. So in our, we'll put in our alpha in our methods. So here we have, this is the symbol for alpha, and we report 2 digits. And so it was 0.99 because we round up. Okay, so now what we want to do is we want to actually merge these items into a scale. To do this, we go to Transform. So in our SPSS, wherever we're going, we click on Transform and we say Compute Variable. So now we have this blank box that says target variable. And this is essentially, we have the opportunity to create our new variable name. So we'll say attitude underscore scale. And because we want the average of this, we'll click, so we want the mean. So essentially we, in this function group, we click all, and then under the functions, we scroll down until we see mean. So we'll click mean. Double click or click this up arrow, and then we want attitude 1, comma, so this attitude 2, and actually make a comma, and then attitude 3. We'll click OK. So hooray, if we look in our actual variable view in SPSS, we see that this new variable has been added. Hooray. So now we want to look at the mean and standard deviation. And so again, we go to Analyze, Descriptive Statistics, and Descriptives. Remove age. You can double click to remove it. And let's look at our attitude scale. Okay. Okay, so here in our output we have our attitude scale. The mean we see here is 4.138, so that rounds to 4.14. Mean was 4.14, and our standard deviation is 2.457, so 2.46. All right. Now, just to I guess rewind this, or just kind of make mention that if you cannot, if you have the scale or that isn't reliable, and essentially isn't reliable means below Cronbach's alpha of 0.60. So if your alpha is below 0.60, you actually can't make this scale because it essentially says that it doesn't measure the underlying concept. So for this, what you have to do is you have to list out each item separately and the mean and standard deviation. So you'd have to individually look at good or bad, awful and nice, unpleasant, pleasant, and report those individual statements, or those individual items, means and standard deviations. Okay, lastly, we have one other measure to look at, and this is buying the product. And for this, I asked people whether or not, essentially, would you like to buy the product? And the measures were recorded using yes or no. So essentially, respondents said yes, they'd buy the product, or no. So for this, again, we look at our descriptive statistics, and we can go to frequencies, and we'll say, would you buy this product? And so the majority said that they would buy it. So once we run it, we see the percentage as being 57.4. So in our methods, we go here, percent yes, so 54.40. And that's pretty much it. So there you have it. So you have opening up the database from Qualtrics and downloading it and opening it in SPSS. Then you have going through creating a scale, looking at means, and essentially looking at your demographics. Okay, so on to the next.